Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my overview on the live letter number 35. This took place April 28th, 2017, and is mostly a Q&A about a lot of little things and some major things regarding Final Fantasy XIV's next expansion, Stormblood. There's a ton of questions here, there's a few screenshots to go over, so we're probably going to glance over a lot of stuff, just because a lot of it's very simple. Yes, no, maybe, we'll let you know at a later date. So, and the big important stuff is the stuff we have the most information about, one of which I have to make a separate video about entirely, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Real quick, I'll just blow these pictures up for the sake of you guys seeing them on the stream itself. Those are the samurai on the left and the red mage icon. The red mage icon looks like the white mage icon flipped upside down with like black mage sparks on the side. But it's, I guess, a rapier technically. And then the Kugane artwork you can see on the right-hand side. Okay, so moving on, throughout the entire thing, they were playing the BGM of one of the themes of the expansion, and just remember that specific details about the battle system will not be available until May, which is going to be May 20th, so it's just a few more weeks until we get official details about that. I have people watching the live stream right now who are waiting for the document link, so I'm going to do them a favor real quick mid-recording and just post that. If you're watching it on YouTube, the document will be under the video anyway, so now you know that I've at least changed it and shared it so everybody could take a look at it. Anyway, the first thing they went over before doing the Q&A are some of the key characters. We're not going to be reading through all of these paragraphs right here. We have Lise, Gesetsu, Yugiri, Xenos Galvis, a new character, Yotsuyu, by the way, who Xenos has some sort of affiliation with, Hien, and Fordola. On top of that, we also have Raubon and Pippin, but we know a lot about those characters, so they didn't really talk about them a whole lot here. As for the Q&A itself, so the very first question was to give more details about the moving system. So for those who don't know, the new housing area of Shirogane will not be available immediately upon the expansion launch. It will be available sometime after. That's to let people go and do the story and level jobs without having to focus on getting a house as soon as the expansion launches. In order to move, which is something that it's a new feature that's coming out where you can move your house from a previous location to a new location, it's really simple. You just walk up to the new land, you click purchase, and if you have a house already when you click purchase, it'll ask you if you want to move the old house to the new location, and then it will relinquish the old land immediately. So it's really just click yes, and it moves, which is easier than I expected it to be. A lot easier than I expected it to be. Now, if the land is the same size, everything just moves and it's flawless. If it's different sizes, then the house itself will move, but be a smaller size. And the furniture itself is going to get placed in a warehouse, so you can take it out and place it appropriately, since you can't just scale down the furniture for the size of the new house. On top of that, things like private rooms, workshops, stables, everything will transfer like seamlessly. So you won't have to like replace a stable. Even the chocobos that were in the stable don't need to be removed from the old stable in order for this to work. On top of that, it's mentioned later, but apartments will also get the moving system as well if you want to move your apartment to a different district. So keep that in mind as well. They still don't know if they want free companies and individuals to all be able to move at the same time, or if they want to open it up to one before the other. So we'll get more information about that later. As for the prices, the current prices are indicative of what the prices in Shirogane will be. So just quickly throw a Google search up for those and you should be okay. Question number 2, what race is Gesetsu? You know, I've actually seen this question a lot. People think he's a Hyur with a unique model, or he's a Rogadin with a unique model. The answer is he's a Rogadin with a unique model. That's all there really is to it. Are there going to be new atmospheres or weathers in the new areas that we haven't seen? They're going to be messing around with the atmosphere. The lights and the shadows will be the same, but how the air and the atmosphere looks will be adjusted. When the Azim steps, it's sunny out. It's going to feel like you're in a wide open plain on a hot sunny day, and not just, hey, there's sun. You know what I mean? There's also going to be new adjustments to some of the old weathers like sandstorms and thunderstorms, so that it looks more natural and not as forced. How big will the areas be? We've answered this before. They're gonna seem wider, but they're pretty similar in terms of surface area to the old areas. On top of that, you are going to have to do ether currents again, so when you first experience the zones, the scale is going to feel quite large. Far Eastern gear feel better. This one was weird. They just said yes to the answer, so it's like, because we're going to the Far East, will there be more Far Eastern gear, or will it fit in better there? It was some kind of weird question. Is there a time zone difference between Authored and Eorzea? Yes, lore-wise, there is indeed a time zone difference. And Eorzea time will adjust based on your location. Will there be new hunts? Yes. Will there be new exploration logs? Yes. In fact, 45 of them. And if the demand is There will be more. As someone who did the original 80 and then didn't touch Heaven's Word, hey, it was some EXP while you were leveling if you could reach them. Wasn't too bad. Even on secondary jobs, like once you could fly in the zone, you could just grab all the exploration for the second job you were leveling, and it's like 17,000 EXP per log. I don't know what it's going to be in the expansion, but give you a rough idea. How will obtaining gear be made smoother in the expansion since there's 2 more jobs that have to compete for gear now? So first of all, gear is going to be shared between, Samurai and Monk, and then Red Mage, Black Mage, Summoner. So that's not really different. It's really just the fact that there's now 2 more weapons that need to be handled. There's going to be some changes that they're going to discuss at a later time, but they have already discussed adjustments to what loot drops depending on your party composition to make sure you don't get loot that can't be used by your party. There is more details about that in a later question, so when we get to that, we'll tackle it then. Will we get new AF gear and how? Yeah, we've known we'll get new AF gear. I don't know how this question made it through. They just needed an excuse to show off some new AF gear for Dark Knight, Dragoon, Paladin, Bard, and Scholar. Some of them looked okay. Dark Knight and Dragoon looked okay, but like Paladin, Bard, Scholar, I wasn't too excited about. As for obtaining it, it will not be obtained through Algan Tomestones this time. It'll be obtained when you do the level 70 job quest. The main reason was a lot of people wanted to pick up the gear at level 60, but they had to do these weekly Tomestones, and it was a really long time before they could just pretty freely pick up the AF gear that they wanted. Some people just wanted them for looks and not for the stats. So basically, item level gaps started forming because these job gears aren't shared. So there was a bit of an issue with that. Now they're going to drop from the level 70 job quest, so you can get them all, especially if you like the glamour for them, and you don't need to worry about allocating Tomestones just to obtain these items. Question 12, why did you choose Red Mage and Samurai? They've covered this in a recent interview as well. These Q&As really aren't for people who follow every single detail, because these questions are like questions that are answered elsewhere. Like, you could tell the Q&A is just for the general populace, and that the hardcore, those of us who follow every juicy detail, we know this stuff already. So, but it's there, it's information for people who didn't already know, and that's always kind of a relevant need within our community. They just talk about Samurai was natural because we're going to Doma. Red Mage was a bit tougher, especially because they didn't know what role they wanted to make it, but they landed on what we have now. So it's pretty standard explanation. Will there be new Algan Tomestones? Yes. And as a matter of fact, they said you'll be able to trade Poetics, which is weird. You'd think the answer would have been Scripture, for the new uncapped Tomestones. I'm wondering if when it says that, it really means the level 70 Tomestones, or if it means like Scripture is going to be uncapped, so you can trade Poetics for Scripture, so you can get gear at level 60. It's not made entirely clear. I'm sure the official Q&A has some sort of clarification on it. Maybe if I read my Twitch chat a little bit here, they'll post something from there. But that's just the way that I read it. There will be new weapons for the existing primals for the new jobs, so Red Mage and Samurai weapons for all existing primals. There will also be new Alexander weapons, no Binding Coil weapons, no Zodiac weapons, no Anima weapons for Red Mage and Samurai. Anyway, so when we were able to go into the dev room for one of the Rising events, they talked about Red Mage and Samurai. Did you already know you were going to do those jobs this time? Very similar to the old question, but I guess a fair one, all the same. And no, they hadn't decided on Red Mage specifically at that time. They were hoping people wouldn't take it too seriously. They took it very seriously. The dev team was not pleased with Yoshi P for deciding to do that, and they will probably not do anything with that exact name dropping again. Will Gatherers Crafters be getting anything new regarding their jobs? Not really new systems, new specialist actions, and in fact, if you use non-specialist actions while on a specialist, you'll actually get buffs to those actions to try and make specialist a little better as a concept. They're also going to be introducing new scripts, yellow scripts, and red scripts are going to have their weekly cap removed. On top of that, after level 61, Gatherers are going to get a trait that increases their GP regeneration because now the number is getting a little higher, so it just kind of makes sense. Also, new tools, specifically the one mentioned for fishing is spears. So that way, you need the new tools to fish and gather underwater, basically. So keep that in mind. You will have new gathering points underwater as well. Will there be no underwater mounts? They showed us 2 new mounts. They showed us the Falcon, which is a new airship that has 3 different modes. It's got flight mode, ground mode, and underwater mode, where it doesn't even really turn into a submarine. There's no glass over your head. I guess you don't need it because you can breathe on all the other mounts, right? Also, there's a Tiger, which they said will be able to swim and fly. Oh yeah, and Sleipnir will fly in 4.0. Also, the Tiger was, they're just like, Warrior Light's got magic. You could do it. No problem. Meh. Let's see, the next one. Will ground mounts be able to go underwater? No. Flying mounts will be able to go underwater, all the flying mounts, but only ground mounts that are eventually patched to be flying mounts will be able to swim. Ground mounts, however, will be getting some adjustments. There will be 2 new speeds for ground mounts. The first one you'll unlock, it seems like through doing the main story. They said that because if you've completed the 3.0 areas, you'll have the increased speed for the Heavensward areas. And when you complete the 4.0 story, you'll have increased speed for 4.0 areas on the ground. However, there's also a third speed that he's not telling us how to obtain. So your ground mounts will get significantly faster after completing some content in the expansion. Or your ground mount speed, I should say. Imagine flying mounts on the ground would also be made faster in this case. Another little quality of life thing they just brought up out of nowhere. When you change jobs outside of a sanctuary, global cooldown actions will not have their cooldowns reset. Currently, I think you have to wait 30 seconds, even on your global cooldowns, when you change jobs outside of a sanctuary. Only off global cooldowns are going to have that penalty now. They'll have to reset their whole cooldown if you're outside of a sanctuary. So keep that in mind. Will there be any additions to Grand Company Squadrons? They are aiming to have them do dungeons with you in 4.1. They had mentioned that in a recent interview as well. They have to make some adjustments to the AI. They're aiming for 4.1, but it may take a little longer than that. Will there be new areas for airship voyages? And will there be new recipes for Free Company crafting? Free Company crafting recipes? Absolutely. They showed off a carbuncle house and some of the outdoor adornments. For airship voyages, nothing immediately, but there is something down the pipeline for that specific piece of content. Question 20, will we get new Oriental emotes? They said yes. One in particular is the Japanese bow. And they have, if you have other requests, be sure to put them on the forums. Question 21, will there be any in-game events for the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy? So they're doing a Binding Coil of Bahamut projection mapping in Japan, in Yokohama. Projection mapping is basically where they have the giant image, and it's they've done it for Mitsune, haven't they? I think they've done it for her at some point. And there is also going to be an equivalent to it in-game as well. So it's just something, just a little nod towards Bahamut, I guess, in this case. So that was the last question for the first half. They asked about the benchmark, which we will get into in the second half. Then they came back and they said, oh, we're going to show you the benchmark trailer. They showed us a fucking bench. That they literally just showed us a quick video of a bench. And then they showed us the real benchmark trailer. Now, I have a bunch of things written down here about the benchmark trailer, but I'm doing a follow-up video because the benchmark is actually out as of... Oh, my chat's actually talking about it right now. In fact, my chat is linking it right now. So I'll include a link to the benchmark. Benchmark's only for PC players, by the way, not for North American players. That's just the way that it works because PS4 players don't need a benchmark because their system will run the game, and that's the point of the benchmark. So we're going to skip over all this because we're going to be doing a separate video. The minimum specs, the recommended specs, we're going to skip over all that and get right back into the Q&A. We got to get through this quick because that benchmark video, it's waiting for me, and I have a lot of breakdown to do on that one. So next question, will there be new graphic options? New, not no. No new options, but the PS4 Pro is going to get a patch F4.0, and there's going to be changes to the resolution and the scaling of the UI. When will we get a PS4 Pro patch? 4.0, and there will be 2 modes, performance mode and graphics mode. One for better performance, one for better graphics. They're also going to be making adjustments to some data centers. Chaos is going to get some changes. They may even get 2 new servers, but they're not going to be really shuffling around the servers in the Japanese data center, which was the original question. It may be something at a later time, but for America and Japan, not really much they need to do on that front. For question 25, how big will our inventory be increased in the expansion? So first of all, not the PS3's fault we didn't get the inventory expansion. They gave us a preview. Now, they're doing the inventory expansion in 2 waves. First, they're going to expand the inventory. Then they're going to analyze the server stability. Then they're going to increase it again. The first increase, the 4.0 increase, 10 slots per armory slot. So like 10 more head pieces in your armory chest, 10 more body pieces, 10 for each of your inventories, your armory slots. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's over 100 armory chest slots in total, basically. And then 40 new inventory slots on your individual character. No mention of retainers. I don't think retainers already have more inventory than the characters, so I don't know that those will be getting any increases. After they do this increase, they'll check server stability, then increase it again. So these aren't all the inventory expansions, just the first little bit of them. Will retainers level up and be able to become new jobs? Yes to both. Also, they said there's going to be 100 new macro slots in 4.0, but they're shared across all your characters, so it's not like 100 per character, it's 100 for the whole account. Will you be able to hire more retainers? And that means above the 8, because the Mog Station lets you go up to 8. And they said no. If the demand is high, maybe, but there's very few people that even have over 2. So, that is what it is. Will there be new rewards for the Gold Saucer? Yes, but all the existing stuff in there is not changing. Question 29, new Chocobo ranks for our Chocobo Companion? No. I mean, with the squadrons being able to do dungeons soon. I mean, it's still in the open world, but it scales with your level, and at its current rank, it has all the skills. So I guess I kind of see I guess I can see why they wouldn't increase it. Now, this one's very confusing, and I'll probably have to refer to the official forums in order to really analyze this properly. So will there be a new materia tier? I think we all figured there would. Yes, there will be a new tier. Grade 5 materia is going to be made a lot more available, but then they said that the name for the next one, the one that would be considered grade 6, is called high materia in Japan. This is what was confusing. According to the unofficial translation, only one will be allowed per armor slot, and they are only allowed to be forbidden melded. This would mean that current gear that doesn't have forbidden melding would probably just allow this one set of materia to be forbidden melded on top. So that's going to be, I'm curious to see how that pans out, how the effective translation of that really does end up panning out. New body and face paints. So new hairstyle. Will there be new body and face paints? New hairstyles, but not really any new character creation options at the start of the expansion, but there will be some more down the line. Question 32, will they increase the number of favorite teleport locations? No, and just as a reminder, the most expensive a teleport will be in the expansion is 999 gil. What will the interior of the Shirogane houses be like? Will it be like, will it be more, Far Eastern themed? Yes, by default, both the exterior and interior will have their own default interior, Far Eastern theme, but of course, you can change it yourself, and they showed a few pictures of it. Question 34, when are we getting the phone app to talk with Free Company and Link Shell members? And for those who didn't know, they were developing a phone app that would allow you to, stay in contact with people who are in-game in your Free Company and Link Shells. Obviously, there's things like Discord and Twitch app and stuff for that now, but this is literally connecting you to the in-game Free Company and Link Shell chat. They said that part's done, but they actually would rather release it with more features. So they want to make it so you can check out the market board, check out your retainers, sell items on the market board from your retainers, things like that. So it's currently aimed at for the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Any changes to Tomestones overall? I didn't understand. I feel like I missed something on this one because I don't know. Nope, minus what they mentioned earlier. No, not really any changes. Will you be able to do Heavensward content unsynced? Of course. I don't need to explain that. I figured that was a given. Will you be able to use battle actions in group pose? I don't use group pose, but the short answer for that one is yes. So if you're someone who likes to take epic screenshots, you'll have a few more options coming soon. For question 38, this wasn't even a question. They just showed off. They're excuse me. They showed off they have a custom theme for PS4 users for digital pre-orders only. There's also characters in the theme, and they actually move. May not get a benchmark, but they do get custom themes. Question 39, how will people obtain gear from the recent contests? You guys know like the tank design contest and the DPS design contest and things like that. It's actually high-level equipment. It'll be part of the Allegan Tomestones, the weekly limited Allegan Tomestones for the expansion. So it's going to be something that I hope you like the winner, because you're going to be wearing it, depending on which role you're actually playing as. Let's see. What's next? Fates. Will there be any new features? So there will be one new feature for Fates. Basically, something will happen during a Fate. If you meet this special condition, you get an EXP bonus. And then he said it's very difficult to explain without showing, but that there will be something new. Question 41. Will Savage Mode of Omega be 4 weeks after the expansion, similar to Alexander? So basically, yes. 2 weeks after the expansion launches on June 20th, Omega Normal will release. 2 weeks after Omega Normal releases, Omega Savage will release. So take your time, enjoy the story, level some jobs, gear up multiple jobs, and just have a good time. Same, also, compared to Heavensward, the weekly Tomestones being, released, will be in a similar time frame. So if you're familiar with the way Heavensward launch went, you're familiar with the way the Stormblood launch will go for those specific features. Question 42. We're less than 10 questions, I swear. Getting to the market board in Ul'dah sucks. Add another Ethernet. They are. There'll be an Ethernet directly to the market board in Ul'dah, as opposed to going to like the Adventurer Guild and then zoning over, which is the way it is now, or the Weavers Guild and walking up. Question 43. How many new minions will there be? Like 20 or more was the answer that they gave us. Now, this one was a little bit strange at first. Will there be NPCs like Chloe, but for the Al Ra? Now, for those who don't remember, originally Chloe Aleopo was an NPC that appeared client-side, and only certain people could see her at any given time. And people wondered what she was going to do. There was no explanation about her. She was just a small Makote child that appeared in an unexplained manner. Now we have all kinds of things around her. But, that's how it was then. Yes, so there will be NPCs like her, children that appear like that in the Azim Steppe, but they will be Al Ra. They won't be as rare. Like, she was a very rare anomaly, which was quite strange. But you will see Al Ra children in the Azim Steppe. Question 45, anything special going to happen with some of the old NPCs? Will they be coming with us to the new areas like Rowena and Geralt? Rowena can never disappear. She will never go away. Geralt, he's a maybe, but Rowena will always be there. So, yeah, that's what I'm, yeah. Anyway. Oh, okay, sorry, my bad. The child that showed up wasn't Chloe, that was Takebe. My bad. My chat's correcting me right now. Takebe was the NPC that showed up that was completely invisible to some people and appeared for other people. Either way, that Makote child, there will be Al Ra that are like her. Anyway, will there be heavier armor sets than the AF gear that was shown earlier? Yes. All right, another quick one. Question 47, will there be new female type bosses? This person apparently really likes them. They said they like the ones we have now, like Sophia, Nail, Livia, etc. I mean, yeah, of course there's going to be new female bosses. Lakshmi is an immediate example of one of the bosses that's going to be coming that's a female. Question 48, how much will our item level increase when the expansion releases? Very similarly to the way that it increased in Heavensward. They mention here that new function we mentioned earlier about dungeon drops. They added a feature that when you finish a dungeon, that a piece of equipment that is actually usable by each person in the party will drop. This is at the very end of a dungeon, and specifically at the end of a content ID, which is anytime you zone into an instance. I'm actually trying to grab the official response for that off the official forums because I don't know, from the way that it's worded, it sounds like it's an additional chest that each person obtains, not something separate from that. So I'm trying to grab that really quickly off the forums. It's not really question 48. Let's see. I really like the feminine bosses. So here we go. For these, let's see, there are times you roll and that may have lost loot to other adventurers, so your item level may have increased slower. We made it so players can obtain the gear for their roll after defeating the last boss in that dungeon. The exact word is, for these reasons, with the 4.0 dungeons, we made it so players can obtain the gear for their roll after defeating the last boss in that dungeon. It sounds to me like every individual at the end of a dungeon gets that. This is also mentioned in Alexander, specifically in, I'm sorry, not Alexander, but for Omega, the raids and obtaining loot from that. When they mentioned that the weapons were the only real problem earlier, I wonder if that applies to the final boss in the Omega Savage tier, or if like the weapon is one of the options of the gear you can get. It's not made explicitly clear. That's something we'll kind of have to wait for exact details for, but that's currently where the expectation kind of is, just based on their comments regarding that. Will they do a patch note reading for 4.0? He originally said no, but then he said yes. Doing it in America instead of playing the game. Yoshi's pretty pissed. He's like, I'm going to be in America. I'm going to be reading the patch notes. I want to play the game. But I chose the release date, so I can't complain. That was the last question. Then they just had a few announcements here. The Japan sale for Stormblood's expansion, digital only. The final PS3 free login campaign. Square Enix Cafe doing a Final Fantasy XIV collaboration. The Dad of Light Netflix series, the airing in Japan. It's coming to Netflix in the fall in North America, I believe. A Japanese Final Fantasy XIV credit card design. The Far Edge of Fate official soundtrack, which releases June 7th, comes with a wind-up Nidhogg. They're doing a Final Fantasy XIV orchestra concert in 2017. It's going to be in Japan September 23rd and maybe 24th. Not sure if they'll get to do the 24th performance because it conflicts with the Tokyo Game Show. Also, Yoshida's birthday is May 1st, so they sang him happy birthday and they brought him out a cake. It was all a sellout. The cake, they're actually selling the cake for a 30th anniversary. So wine and cake for the 30th anniversary. And Yoshi P says that the most expensive bottle of their wine for the anniversary is 108,000 yen, which is just about near $1,000. And he said, "It's my birthday, I'm opening it." And then he couldn't open it for like 15 minutes. So he's like, "It's too old." It's a 30-year-old bottle of wine, pretty much. 1987, 30th anniversary, 30-year-old wine. Makes sense. There is also a cheaper version, by the way, but that's all that there was. But anyway, that covers all the Q&A here. Now it's time for me to go get the benchmark link, download that, and then we could do a benchmark breakdown. I like alliteration. Final Fantasy has taught me alliteration is a great thing, so benchmark breakdown seems like the perfect name. But anyway, if you're looking for this, by the way, thank you, Marco, for doing the translation. As always, his Twitter's there at the top. Thank you again for this one, because you had a lot of translating to do on this Q&A. So a big shout out to him. Be sure to go follow him on Twitter. And now he went out drinking, so have a good time, Marco. But I'm going to go download the benchmark now, guys. Thank you for watching the live stream of the unofficial translation. Thank you for watching this one live as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Wouldn't be my video if I didn't get to say it. And I'm sure everyone on Twitch is like, "He said it, PogChamp." But anyway, I'm going to go take care of what I got to take care of the rest of the day. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. And on YouTube, I'll see you next time. And Twitch, we're still here. I'm not going anywhere. So we're good. Yeah.